Kennedy Collier Chandler, born September 16, 2002. Prior to the 22-23 NBA season, Kennedy Chandler was enjoying a multitude of good fortune in basketball up to that point. He was the #1 rated point guard of his senior class, ahead of names like JD Davidson, TyTy Washington, and former #3 overall pick Scoot Henderson. After a down season with the Grizzlies, he was waived with 3 years still guaranteed on his contract. In 23-24, he played in the G League for the Long Island Nets, where he played well, but since the season, there hasn't been any news of him involved with another NBA team or at all about his professional future. Kennedy Chandler's story can be used as a perfect example for young hoopers considered small point guards for a few different reasons. First off, in order to be great, you have to study examples before you from the ones that made it and the ones that didn't but had the potential at some point. At that size, every factor surrounding you as a player matters, unlike a guy 6'4" and above, who teams know size won't act as a disadvantage on either end of the floor. For this reason, certain skills must be developed and done at elite levels in order to not just become a great high school player, then outstanding college player, but where it all matters in the NBA as well. I can't stress enough the importance of making sure your jump shot is at an elite level from anywhere on the floor, especially from the three-point line, as it's the biggest shot in basketball right now and gives a team the most points, potentially doubling the amount scored on the other end in cases like a 4-point play. Being able to not just shoot well from high school and college distance, but practicing the NBA three-pointer at an early age and being elite at that distance as well, can almost assure you'll be an asset for literally every team on the pro level currently. I see some players today and can't believe it when I see that's a shot distance they struggle at. A three-point shooter from any position is sought after year after year, so should be a point of focus as soon as possible. Then there's things like having a consistent and reliable floater, a shot that if perfected is impossible to stop and plays well with speed and deceptive quickness. IQ, experience, passing are all musts as well, with athleticism and icing on the cake at that size. Kennedy Chandler showed a lot of those attributes prior to the NBA, which was why he was given the largest guaranteed rookie deal ever for a second-round pick, literally given a start unheard of. He's still just 21 years old and could certainly find his way back to the NBA, but as of now, for these reasons, his growth is being stunted. What happened? Let's talk about it. Salute to Jay on IG for this request. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth. Let's get it, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Kennedy Chandler is a 5'11" point guard from Memphis, Tennessee, listed at 6 foot in shoes, that enjoyed the typical 5-star All-American career you'd expect, winning a state championship as a sophomore, then back-to-back Tennessee Mr. Basketball awards that and his junior season. He transferred for his senior year to Sunrise Christian in Kansas, where he felt the competition was more suited to help him be ready for college point guard duties. Even though his senior year numbers weren't impressive, he still kept his #1 ranking and still named a McDonald's All-American and Jordan Brand Classic participant. Going into college, he was expected to become one and done and did that after leading Tennessee in points per game, averaging 13.9 along with 4.7 assists and 2.2 steals. After the season, he entered the NBA draft and was taken 38th overall by the Memphis Grizzlies. Stunt #1, waived by Memphis. Being drafted by his hometown team, the Memphis Grizzlies, in 2022 was like a dream situation for Chandler, who was a star for the state and the most popular player for the city behind Ja Morant since high school. After being projected a late first rounder and slipping to the second round, it was a no-brainer Memphis would take him with their second round pick. They showed just how much they loved his game by still giving him a 4-year deal similar to that of a first-round pick, only guaranteed even more, nearly $5 million over the next 4 years. Giving a rookie second-round pick that kind of commitment that wasn't expected to even challenge Ja Morant for the starting job, nor play much over Tyus Jones was a shocker to most, but made sense seeing what he meant for that city and state in the past. It's one of those situations I think too many NBA teams go about the wrong way, valuing what a player has done on the amateur level as much as they do. Chandler, born in any other state, I doubt Memphis makes that move, seeing how unfitted he was for the position. He's been a star his entire life and was able to become a coveted one-and-done college player. For him to adjust to being a third-string point guard at 20 years old was always going to be a risky adjustment. Then he's listed at 6 foot, likely more closer to 5'10", 5'11", maybe even in shoes, creates another high risk, seeing the disadvantage he becomes without certain attributes smaller guards need, like elite ball handling and shifty dribble moves, savvy craftiness like a Trae Young, natural passing skills, extremely high IQ, and an underrated competitive fight. He also struggles shooting the ball from everywhere on the floor, mainly behind the arc where he shot 13% and free throw line where he was horrendous at 46%. By the end of year, it was clear Kennedy was still very raw and likely wasn't going to be their point guard of the future in any way. But then the Grizzlies faced a situation where they were down Brandon Clark and Steven Adams, not to mention Santi Aldama hurt as well going into the playoffs, so they needed another big on the bench and only way to make space was to waive Chandler. Struggling with confidence issues all year, it hurt him being waived and signified at least one NBA team didn't see him worthy of being kept around. Having to or not, if you're worth being kept around, an NBA team will find a way. Stunt number 2, translational NBA skills. Leaving the draft combine, Kennedy Chandler had the highest max vertical leap of any player at 41.5, so although doesn't look it, is an elite leaper according to the numbers. But you know those players that jump high but they don't play that way? That's Chandler when it comes to athleticism. In high school and college, he was considered lightning fast, as some described him, but in the NBA, in the half-court setting at least, that speed never quite translated. It takes more than just being fast to get by most veterans and high-level matchups, things like top-level ball handling deception, length to elongate those moves and keep the ball away from long-arm defenders, then being unstoppable in pick-and-roll situation reads. Being 6 foot with a 6'5" wingspan, with athleticism that don't quite work consistently on that level, prevented him from getting in the lane and finishing among the trees. Then add to that his shooting was one of the worst in the league from that position, making it easy to waive and leave him unsigned to this day. He shot 38% from 3 in college, so he can shoot, but as admitted, he struggled with his confidence during the year shooting the ball and it showed. Everything mentioned he was great at in high school and his lone season in college, but because of his size, age, experience not being a focal point, and confidence issues, none of that translated to the league. Like mentioned, if a team wants you bad enough and can see you helping them for years to come, they'll find a way to keep you around. Obviously, they liked him coming into the year, giving him the deal they did. But by the end of it, it was clear with his skill set mixed with lack of physical gifts, he wasn't going to be in the NBA what he was before. Stunt number 3, a dime a dozen. Lastly, I see a guy like Kennedy Chandler as a dime a dozen type player that you can literally find every year in the draft or floating around the league on a more team favorable contract. Take Jacob Gilyard, who the Grizzlies signed after releasing Chandler. Gilyard is even smaller at 5'9" in shoes, but on a two-way contract and not a guaranteed one, so with a two-way spot left after moving Kenny Lofton Jr. up to a standard NBA contract, Gilyard was signed. He also shot the ball much better than Chandler and passed it better as well, leading the G League in assists. Point guard is already the most popular of all positions as it's the most flashy and celebrated, but more importantly, the only position in basketball anyone can play no matter how tall you end up. Finding a 5'11", 6-foot point guard who hasn't shown he can make NBA threes, doesn't finish well in the paint, and shoots free throws at a Shaquille O'Neal rate can literally be done with a scout's eyes closed, pointing at a list of names on a board. He doesn't provide anything special and showed to be deficient in multiple areas, even in the G League, making it difficult for a team to commit to his guaranteed deal the next 2 years. All in all, Kennedy Chandler, I believe, had too high of expectations in the first place. He should have never been taken by Memphis, as he had limited opportunity there from day one. He hasn't shown his skills can translate to the NBA as yet, but is still just 21 years old, so maybe he regains his confidence and is ready for another opportunity. But as of now, for these reasons, his growth is being stunted. Salute, much respect. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth, and I'm out.